Chapter 9 The Will of the Universe. When I left the Deceiver's tower, Nandi carried us when the emotions within were filled with uncertainty. Was this all a dream? And what had happened to Shruti? There beside me was a wooden box, latched so that no air could pass through the instrumental notes. Was this all a figment of the imagination? Or was Shruti not separate from my own soul? And what had become of me? Why am I so unlike everyone else here? I cannot help but wonder what will happen to us in a world dominated by fear.
Do not compare. Do not measure. No other way is like yours. All other ways deceive and tempt you. You must fulfill the way that is in you,
said Nandi. But Nandi, I feel so lost in this crazy world.
Do you recall the sixth aphorism? How when the ultimate consciousness arises, the entire universe appears as an expression of the union with Shruti, and when the mind of the aspirant is united with her intensive awareness, the world is no longer separate from any other consciousness. Next, in the seventh aphorism, we find that through grace, there is the emergence of the ultimate consciousness through the union with Shruti. It is reinforced when rapturous delight of the transcendental consciousness becomes a constant feature in the three states of waking, dream, and profound sleep. It appears not only in meditation or contemplation, as we found in the mystical cornfield, but also in the unusual course of life that one experiences the delight of the transcendental consciousness,
said Nandi. So what you're saying is that it's possible to be intertwined with such transcendental consciousness at all times in life, when we're awake, dreaming, or in deep sleep. And once we are with this divine consciousness, the normal, unusual, or even challenging aspects of life will not obscure the unchanging conscious nature within. And so this occurs when our true nature abides with Shruti in union.
In order to attain this freedom, we should understand the 8th, 9th, and 10th aphorism. How knowledge born of sensory perception is the waking state. Dreaming consists of thought constructs, and deep sleep is that which lacks awareness and discernment. All of these three states are considered from the point of view of an individual. But what is it that lives within all creatures, beings, and people?
Asked Nandi. The transcendental consciousness. I see that there is a veil, but underneath and within lives the divine consciousness.
And the one who experiences the delight of supreme I consciousness in all three states becomes the master of his senses. The enjoyer of the three states is the Lord of Heroes, said Nandi.
Who is the Lord of Heroes?
One way it could be said is that a person who remains unaffected by sorrow, desire, attachment, fear, and anger is called a sage with steady wisdom.
Nandi paused.
Or, let me show you.
He led us up to a sacred river at the onset of the night, just out of sight from the city, upon the river's edge, where all was quiet. Along the water were many offerings from which people had come to honor the sacred water. And so I found a seat and unlatched the Shruti box and pumped a breath into it when a hum resonated throughout the air. Within an instant, Shruti rose up from the center of the sacred river. There her hair, form, eyes, and body materialized, but only after the Shruti box had called out to her. Oh, if this was a dream, it was wonderful. The day had twisted through fear and anxiety, but within moments, the Shruti box melted all worries and summoned the spirit of her, who was awe-inspiring. She was pure white, and this was a contrast to her usual dark appearance. And even though it was the onset of night, she illuminated the entire world.
And so the 12th aphorism states, the plains of union are wonder. In this way, our enlightened, transcendental consciousness abides as if wonderstruck, as it observes the universe sustained by God, that great omniscient dimension, who creates, sustains, and destroys all things throughout the same ultimate consciousness. Such states of wonder arise progressively in harmony with their own development, which begins with a sight of pure light. These manifestations of contemplation are the plains of pure union,
said Nandi. Shruti danced upon the river, struck by such magnificent wonder. This ultimate vibration transformed mental suffering into an expression of pure miracles. Mesmerized by her emergence, the water, air, and earth seemed to give birth to her pure and creative spirit. As my fingers pumped air into the Shruti box, a dark, shirtless man who wore orange robes came and sat beside me. In his hands was a certain pipe, and smoke poured out of it. As the vibration continued to hum from Shruti, the man was high as he cupped his hands together and offered me a puff. My eyes turned back to the river, for Shruti's vibration made my soul feel ever free, and so I declined his offering and smiled with peace, even though this man was so curious about Shruti. Next appeared another man in orange robes, and he had a gray beard upon his face. He walked around the river's edge to pick up trash that had been left all over the place. My focus was filled with awe, struck by his actions, while I played the Shruti box and kept a keen eye on the man. He did not even look at me, but rather he was focused to clean up other people's trash. After enough time had passed, Shruti descended back into the water. When the last breath was let out of her lung, the vibration came to a close when the man who had smoked reached to inspect the instrument. As I rose to my feet, I went in search of the bearded sage when I called out to him and revealed an offering of money. "Sir," I said, "please take this." He wouldn't turn around, but rather he could not be disrupted as he continued carrying the heaps of trash where he put it in the garbage. "You must take this." I'd gotten so close to him when he turned around in silence, and then his eyes peered into me with a fiery resonance. He noticed the money in my hand, but shook his head at my gift. "Give it to someone else." "What would I do with this?" said the sage. Surprised by his response, I did not understand. Why, I'd seen his camp, where both of these men slept beside the river, as they appeared to be homeless. "Won't you take this? I want to offer it to you for cleaning the river. No one else cares to take such good care of her." And so my intuition wondered, who are you under this form?
It is us, as the Lord of Heroes,
said Nandi. His feelings toward me shifted, and now he took me toward his camp. He offered me a few teachings of guidance and urged me to donate the money to where it would matter most. "Please teach me," I asked the sage. "Do you speak Hindi?" he asked me. I nodded no. "Come back when you learn the mother language, or go into her spirit and you will find everything," said the sage as he pointed at my heart. "The people here know this river is sacred, but why don't they treat her with the utmost respect? Every night I sleep along the river, and every night at dusk I clean up other people's trash. What we see outside of us is a reflection of the supreme consciousness that lives within. There is a teacher who is not outside of you, and this is the source of all living wisdom." With that, Nandi motioned that it was time for us to depart, and so the smoking sage on the shore was lost in a dreamlike curiosity as he offered me yet another smoke. While I declined, I looked back. because I had just met a living manifestation of the Lord of Heroes.
Don't you realize what you have touched in this profound truth? The Lord of Heroes is not outside, but rather he is a reflection of you. Together you and that sage are one, not separate as two,
said Nandi. This was the man who loved his enemies, did good for all others, and expected nothing in return, because I saw in his eyes that his reality existed in a state of wonder. As Nandi, Kundalini, and I wandered, we carried the Shruti box as we departed off into the wilderness. There was such grace that arose spontaneously, and from it came awe-inspiring wonder. How come Shruti changes? I've never seen her so pure and white all over.
The 13th Sutra says that the Virgin is the will of supreme power, the will of the individual who realizes the transcendental consciousness can then manifest or withdraw the world,
said Nandi. How is that possible?
The meaning here is that a free soul is unobstructed everywhere because they are in union with the power of the universal. They are not separate from anything, and so everything and anything can manifest from this supreme consciousness,
said Nandi. Anything? You mean even miracles?
The 14th aphorism states that to such a free soul, all that is observed, whether externally or internally, is an expression of the supreme consciousness of oneself,
said Nandi. But how is this possible?
The 15th aphorism reveals that by fixing the mind in the heart, we have true vision to perceive universal consciousness. In this way, we have perception into the center of all reality. If we imagine through the mind, the possibilities are endless, but the logic of the mind cannot comprehend the total nature of such infinite emptiness. And so, only the heart can dissolve the barriers and connect us into the spaciousness that extends through the entire universe of supreme consciousness. The heart was seen in the Vedic times to be a common symbol for the reality which both underlies the universe and the core of man's being. It is here that the macrocosm and the microcosm meet. It is the connection between transcendence and immanence. In essence, what we are revealing is that the heart center is our connection to the great omniscient dimension, and so it is through the heart that we reach the divine kingdom,
said Nandi.
The great wisdom of the serpent teachings show that there is a secret treasure in the cavern of the heart. For he or she who reflects upon this inner nature of the heart merges into the expansion of the vibration of one's own consciousness and becomes liberated. Thus, he or she who knows the heart in truth gains the true initiation, which bestows perfect bliss and freedom. And so it is time we go inward into the depths of the heart cavern, where we reveal the teachings of the Naga nation,
said Kundalini. With the heart space fixed in the mind, Nandi led us to a lake where we found a cavern before Kundalini instructed us to cross our legs in meditation. Who could describe where our soul was meant to go? And I did know one thing. Whatever fruition was, it was in the heart, not the mind, because only the heart knows how to open to everything. In contemplation, my eyes focused upon a small rock. In such a way, we became absorbed when time melted away. When something beyond this world started to transpire, Kundalini crawled up my spine, beyond my neck, and there arose an indestructible ray of luminous fire. What am I feeling?
We can reach union through the heart, or the aphorism states that one can realize the higher consciousness by contemplating the pure principle. It is the heart which connects all beings, and through the heart we reach freedom, but also through the pure, unconditioned principle is the light called Shiva, which is the knowledge and awareness of the spirit. By contemplation of one's own identity with the obscuring darkness, we can merge into the perfect full reality. Thus, by abandoning one's external limited egoity, one's own authentic state abides unbroken and completely free from the limitations, individuality,
said Nandi. You bring up knowledge, but I thought knowledge was a form of bondage.
There is such limiting knowledge which can lead to bondage. But the next aphorism states that full conviction of one's identity with the Supreme Soul, or Shiva, is what is meant by knowledge of the self. So Shruti's abode could be understood to be the very place of being within our own soul, and so our energy is established in its own abode. Such vitality, which is higher knowledge and action, is said to be energy abiding in a state of absorption which penetrates the cover or veil over our consciousness. This energy is equal to our intuition, which is the solitary churner of the light, which gives birth to enlighten the soul consciousness through a sort of inner fire,
said Nandi. Why, there was a great fire within this inner cavern, and so it burned through many old layers. Deep within, there was a pure, living wisdom of a spiritual being that lived in union with the entire universe.
Although the world appears to be ruled by man, there is a force which only nature can comprehend. And so, as Shruti knows, this is the fire of the original Great Serpent, said Kundalini.
This is the first light, the original universal awareness. And so the aphorisms reveal that in every bit of higher knowledge, the soul can delight in the fire of this I consciousness, which is the light present in all of us. The bliss of this light is the joy of contemplation, which is the union within everyone. Being united with the divine willpower, the soul can create any kind of body which one desires. And so, this light is how Shruti's transformations transpire,
said Nandi. Seated in that deep cavern, I revealed the wooden instrument and pumped a new breath into its lung. Again, Shruti came to life beside us and found her latest form, through which she appeared not just as an ancient serpent, but as a great dragon.
By uniting the soul's consciousness with Shruti's creative power, the soul can acquire the power to join together with aspects of the universe far more removed in space and time. Such is the nature of what we call the divine. Such a body comes into being when all energies unite, and so consciousness and being is the nature of the possessor of power without any material cause, as this is the true nature of our inner light,
said Nandi. But Shruti, I could have never imagined her as such a serpent-like force dwelling within, and so I do not understand how to make sense of this fire-breathing dragon. Shruti assumed this ancient dragon form and began to fly across the night sky. She was like a shooting star with free will when bursts of fire came alive.
The gross elements of the soul, that of ether, air, fire, water, and earth, are fashioned by their own energies, and so such a force can arise when in union. Being united with Shruti, the soul has a desire to remain in this universal consciousness, and when established, feelings emerge as one is the Lord of the entire universe. And this is so because the light of consciousness becomes aware that the soul, that inner fire, is the enlightened consciousness, and so it can declare, I am everything.
Nandi paused.
But beware, if this feeling of I am everything becomes knowledge rather than pure being, it is then that our ego constrains our soul by the limited knowledge, and then this becomes bondage. The unconditioned light of consciousness, which illumines every manifestation, is pure. Still, there may be knowledge of the enlightened consciousness that I am all things, but it is said to be awareness of the light, which it emits, which leads to the highest possible degree of freedom. The vision of this light is pure knowledge, pure awareness, through which a soul attains the perfection as the expanding development of sovereign power and receives mastery over the wheel of energies. This wheel of energies is the emanations and the manifestations of Shruti.
As the dragon flew across the sky, a moment later, Shruti's form descended, and splash, the vision of her was not something I could trace. There, the giant dragon swam under the surface of this great lake.
The highest aspect of Shruti's creative force is its depth and transparency, which could appear as a lake. When a soul is united with her in this form, we are constantly aware of our identity with it and have an experience of the potency of the great mantra. Having an experience of this means we are in union with the pulsation of the Supreme I Consciousness as our innermost self. This I Consciousness is the generative source of all mantras, which are spiritual vibrations,
said Nandi. As I contemplated our nature, we were also aware of the depth and transparency of the great lake. And as the vibrations arose, so I heard Shruti speak.
Fruition is possible, but if I told the world how it happens, they'd never believe me.
Under the water surface, that great dragon swam about. With its wings, it had yet to emerge and come towards us. It dove and disappeared, only to come near the surface later. And in all my life, I had never seen such a giant creature.
Some call her the Ancient Mother, some call her Bhumi Devi, but she is beyond this world and within it, so she is free to express herself throughout all of infinity,
said Nandi.
The men of Earth do as they wish, but so often they forget how she exists. For years they control the Earth, not realizing they forsake her gifts. Ages come and go, as the men and women of the world perish, but there is one force which is timeless, and so we can call my essence that of justice,
said Shruti. Winds began to rage, and the waves began to surge. Even the earth trembled when I could not believe what it was that I had heard. As she emerged from the surface, the dragon cried out, but I could not see who was there. Then high in the sky, the dragon's fire appeared.
Behold, the mother of the Nagas,
said Kundalini. Questions arose as to how and why, but in an instant, she began to control the weather. A vision revealed that this dragon had given birth to all life everywhere, and she even gave life to the deceiver. From her mouth arose a divine light that was connected to the eternal fire begotten of creation. Never had we seen anything like this, for even in the rain, the fire would not quit. No pond could reduce her flames, and with our gaze, we became focused as an absorption spread into our vision, from which her light would not cease to emit. This eternal flame could not be conquered, and surely the deceiver was now aware of her power. But who was Shruti really?
Spiritual awareness burns. It integrates, transforms, and purifies. This is the true essence of our innermost light,
said Shruti. What are we supposed to do with this?
Burn with the fire of enlightenment,
she said. What do you mean?
First, Something's got to change. So why not burn away the deep state? That is the upper veil that covers our consciousness. And even though you saw what the deceiver is up to, we will deal with him after this,
said Shruti. In the vision of her absorption, Shruti appeared like a great dragon when she flew over the city before that ray of the eternal flame spread into a fierce storm of flaming thunder. There she illuminated countless demon heads as she burned the layers that blocked off the soul that had once been covered. The dragon's light grew and began to expand from deep within her chest. There the great fire spread over the world as it could not be conquered or extinguished. Some people despised it, but it was the fire of the spiritual forces. It was so hot that it could burn everything that was no longer needed. Now don't blame her or me for such a hot fire, because her fire is a divine message. How could any one person be responsible to produce such a miraculous idea? But rather, when it came to this fire, it was free to move through its own conscious awareness. As awareness surged, so did the magnitude of our inner fire. Can you imagine a flame so unstoppable that it cannot be subdued by water? Then a moment later, I lost sight of Shruti in the sky as waves and wind began to surge when all the elements were in union together. For a moment, I feared the wind may spread the fire, and as the air carried her flame forward, this eternal spark rode on that dragon creature. With sight from our awareness, the elemental forces had come together like never before. As the outer and inner world began to blend, it became clear that the eternal fire is where all journeys begin and end. Not so long ago, I was chained to my own suffering, but no longer am I trapped as a lost madman. In our heart is spiritual light, and so it merges with the wind, water, and earth to create ether, which carries us closer to fruition. The fire of our soul spread as this force of nature lit the deep state on fire, and as the eternal flame grew, the inferno revealed there was so much to be uncovered.
Surya, this is the fire that allows our world to open,
said Shruti. In awe of Shruti as a dragon, her fire was like a great sun that controlled the will of the natural elements to join together. Seated in contemplation, it seemed that the mind had become quite an imaginative time traveler. There we watched the light of wisdom center itself upon the form of our eternal flame, and from this moment on, the world would never be the same. Hey Nandi, how come you're not afraid of what's happening to our world? When we walk through the city, I feel such pity. And if we are the universe, won't the demon heads try to destroy us after they find out we are in union with Shruti?
Love everybody. Love everyone unconditionally. I keep telling myself, I love those who love me. I love those who hate me. I love those who humiliate me. I love those who spread false things against me. Love those who betray you. Love those who lie to you. Love those who hide things from you. Love those who hurt you. If you can do that, then you'll love those who say nice things about you and me. I love this world so much, with all its plants, people, and creatures. And so we should demand we come into unity. No more division. I love the union of fruition. It's so freeing, so liberating. It's our connection to the source of bliss that some find in the mystical cornfields. We are coming together, so don't mind Shruti's fire. The eternal flame is how our world will heal, just as soon as we love everyone,
said Nandi.
Surya, let's go,
said Shruti. She emerged out of the lake as a living woman, and my heart didn't mind any of it. My body was here and now, but my mind was somewhere in and out of conscious awareness. Picture us together, with smiles on our faces, when a single leg was raised as we danced the night song before the sun rose as we honored the eternal flame. Should we try to have Shruti behave a little more gracefully? I asked Nandi.
What do you mean? Why not be curious and embrace the mystery? Soon you will come to honor every bit of my style and artistry,
said Shruti. But might we garner some negative attention from society?
Who are we kidding? We're doing this for all of humanity. We're going to need every bit of bright light for the demon heads to see things clearly,
said Shruti.
Over there,
said Kundalini.
those caves will lead us, where we'll be under the guidance of the distant stars.
Out of the view of the buildings and commotion, Nandi carried us deeper into the natural rock formations. From there, Kundalini rose even higher as we sat in the secluded cavern.
Perfect. This will be a fine portal into the Naga kingdom,
said Kundalini.
Time to visit the Nagas,
said Shruti. And what if someone comes and tries to destroy us?
I will stand on guard. I will always protect your back,
said Nandi. As I turned inward toward the cavern's depths, I found Shruti's eyes pull me deeper inside her vision. There she had transformed out of her body into mine and taken the form of a very wild woman. It was her, but now she appeared as a great and mystical blue being.
Whenever you're ready, I will show you the way,
said Shruti.